This episode is brought to you by KPMG. At KPMG, innovation is the go-to state of mind. Their visionary thinkers and advanced technology help you see beyond the now, uncover new insights, and turn them into opportunities. KPMG can help you leverage the value of data and drive transformational outcomes through innovation. To explore their thinking, go to kpmg.us.
Hey y'all, I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And this
is your Bloody Happy Hour.
Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody Happy Hour.
We're going to tell them what we're drinking. Hey, y'all, this is April.
And this is Caroline.
And it is Bloody Happy Hour time. Nice. It is brunch edition. And I have some Malibu coconuts mixed with some coconut water.
Oh, my gosh.
Hydrating while dehydrating.
I love it. I'm drinking a White Claw refresher.
Yeah, that's...
But you know what's missing? You know those little koozie things that...
A brewmate?
Like a brewmate? I actually have lost 3 of them over the years, and it sure would be nice to have one.
Speaking of, we just found out that the number 2 podcast for our show, it's called Bois, and it's all about King of the Hill. It's a King of the Hill rewatch. They have been getting presents for the last couple weeks delivered to the studio. So Bloody Happy Hour fans, I'm going to need y'all to step it up. Just let us know if you need our address. Caroline needs a brewmate. And we actually need a liquor refill. So send us some alcohol.
Yeah. I was like, April, what do you think people could send us? She was like, a bomb.
Don't send us a bomb.
So we don't want that.
Yeah, don't send us a bomb. Caroline, you were quickly telling me about a Hinge day, your weekend,
Okay,
but I stopped you. So tell everybody. They're so invested in your life.
I know. So I swiped right. That means I matched with a guy a couple weeks ago.
On Hinge.
And so I was going to Austin for a work thing, and I went a little early, and I was like, hey, do you want to meet up and go get drinks? And he was like, yeah, by the way, I have tickets to a Joe Rogan comedy show.
Wow.
And I was like, is that just the title of it? And it's just like random people, or is it Joe Rogan? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Because Caroline's basically in love with Joe Rogan.
I mean, he's great. And so then... Well, I find out that there's 15 other guys that are going to be there.
Ooh,
and
gangbang.
Like 3 other girls. And I was like, I'm definitely getting trafficked. For sure. I did share my location with some people, and I was like, most likely I'm getting trafficked, but if not, then it's fine. Whatever. And all everybody it was like a good looking group. Everyone seemed normal. And I was like, this is great. So go to the comedy show, random person. There's like 3 random people. And then all of a sudden they introduce Roseanne Barr. I love Roseanne. I mean, who didn't watch her on Nick at Night and all the show?
Yes,
Roseanne.
yes. And watch her sing the national anthem and grab her penis.
And so she is literally a walking cigarette. She had on this whole like white outfit. Her hair's now white. I guess it's,
wow.
She had this giant cigarette. She's smoking on it. She's talking about how she's on mushrooms.
Wow.
And everything. And then she throws the cigarette on the ground, puts it out, stomps it out with her Yeezys that she's wearing. It was amazing. It was amazing. And then the guy wanted to come back to my hotel, and I didn't let him. He got mad, and then it's the end.
Oh! The old kid. Look at that for being aware. Bitch stayed aware for one time in her life.
I was so aware, and there was so many red flags, but I kept on staying with the date because I needed to go to the comedy show.
And she saw red flags, y'all. We have gotten somewhere.
I mean, he's like, oh, I was in jail at DWI over like a couple Christmases ago because of driving drunk, and my ex-wife bailed me out because she'd been to jail like the couple years before. I was like, I don't need to be involved in this situation. I'm going to go out with him again next week.
Just keep count. At least seeing the red flags.
Yeah, I see the red flags. I just will typically like push them and ignore them.
Okay.
It's fine. So there's my life update. If you don't care, then sorry, I told you anyway.
I love it. I love it. So during the break, we're going to tell you about our sponsors. So stay tuned for that. Also, I am not in Texas today. I know.
Oh.
Nope, not in Texas. Do you know how many stories I had to like stop researching because they were in Texas? I'm just drawn to Texas stories. But today we're going to Florida, baby.
Oh, okay.
And so you know when it's Florida, it's going to be crazy, outlandish, wild. This one is wild. I texted Caroline this morning and I was like, bitch, take your Adderall because this is so much, but you don't want to miss it because it is a crazy story and it's been on my list since Christmas break. Have you ever seen the movie Pain and Gain with The Rock, Dwayne Rock Johnson, Mark Wahlberg, and Anthony Mackie?
No.
Well, I hadn't either until this Christmas break. I don't know why, because I love Mark Wahlberg and I love The Rock. So, but when I watched it this break, my nephew Isaiah was over. Shout out to Isaiah because he gave me this inspiration. It is based on a true story.
Okay.
So when it was over, Isaiah told me that, and he was like, you know, Aunt Sissy, you should cover this on your podcast. And I was like, this can't be real. When I tell you the story, you're going to question if this is real because it's ridiculous. This movie is dark comedy.
Okay.
Which we love, right?
Yeah.
So dark comedy. So we're going back to the 90s and summer of 1994. So let's start with the Sun Gym. I'm titling this episode The Sun Gym Gang.
Okay.
Let's start with the Sun Gym.
S-U-N? S-O-N. Okay.
S-U-N. Sun Gym Gang. We're in Miami, Florida. Now, this wasn't your ordinary gym, okay? The owner of this gym, he had a dream. His name was John Meese. He actually graduated from Texas A&M. Oh. What do y'all say?
Gig 'em?
Whoop.
Whoop.
Yeah.
Whoop.
She sucks as an A&M person. Graduated from A&M, and he was an accountant, but he also started bodybuilding at A&M.
Okay.
So he continued that on like for the rest of his life. So he wanted to own this gym for only the best athletes, only the most muscle bound, the strongest, the elite bodybuilders.
Okay.
So membership was open to anyone, but if you weren't in tip-top physical condition, you felt and looked out of place. Okay?
For sure.
So this owner, he would also have bodybuilding competitions there. And when famous bodybuilders were in town, like the ones that had their pro cards, they would only go and work out there. So this is what he wanted. Like he had the gym of his dreams.
Yeah.
Membership was pretty good at that time. But, you know, Gold's Gym was invented and then was coming right down the road.
Oh, no.
So what usually happens when this big box gyms and then you got these small gyms is you
people
lose
want the extra
people.
amenities of the big gym.
Yeah, and the lower membership price. So he started losing membership until a guy named Danny Lugo came in. Say it 3 times.
Danny Lugo, Danny Lugo, Danny Lugo.
He is going to be a main character.
Okay.
So he was a bodybuilder. He was about 6'2", great physique. He was 30 years old. He had moved from New York City. This is who Mark Wahlberg plays in Pain and Gain. Okay. He convinced gym owner John to hire him. Now, Danny is very charismatic. He's very good with his words and very convincing. He can persuade anybody to do anything. You did not need to meet him at all in your life, Caroline.
No.
So he was like, you know what? You need to hire me because I have so many ideas for this place. I got a dream. We could build an empire. We can have a Sun Gym clothing line. We can start Sun Gym vitamins. We can have a Sun Gym juice bar. Wow. We can have Sun Gym karate. And so John, this was his baby. He was like, yes, you're hired. You're hired. Yeah. And you're my head trainer. And so Lugo was like, hey, but I forgot to tell you one thing. I just got out of prison.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
At least he's being open and honest.
Open in the beginning.
Yeah. And
so he was like, you know, I was in jail for defrauding people.
Oh, no.
And I actually have to pay a $70,000 restitution to my victims.
Oh.
So he like scammed, he would give these bonus investments and scammed people out a ton of money. So John did not care, right? He was like, yeah, but you're going to save my gym, and you look great, you look the part, you're hired. Lugo became Sun Gym famous. People loved him. He was training everybody, like rich people, like millionaires. And he was shredding their body fat. Like, he knew what he was doing. He started a juice bar. But Caroline, what kind of juice bar do you think this is?
I don't think it's good juice.
You think they have flaxseed and strawberries and protein for this juice bar?
I think no. I don't think they do.
It involved needles.
Oh.
HGH, some horse tranquilizers. So it was basically steroid juice. He also brought in strippers weekly. And strippers had free memberships. And he encouraged the strippers to wear as little as possible when they're working out, because who's that going to bring in? The men.
Yeah.
Membership tripled.
Skyrocketed.
Like,
you don't have strippers at Gold's Gym. You sure don't.
No.
Or HGH.
Money was coming in.
And now a word from our sponsors.
The all-new Chevy Colorado is made for more. Stacked with the latest in-vehicle technologies like a class-leading 11-inch diagonal center touchscreen and an extra-large wireless charging pad. Plus, it features wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility to make staying connected easy wherever your adventure takes you. Chevy Colorado, made for more. Learn more at Chevrolet.com/truck/Colorado. Claims based on latest competitive data.
911, what's your emergency?
Do you hear that? It's coming from the house.
It's coming from inside the house? Do you mean? Could it be?
The Poltergeist. New from Rogue Media. Two haunted hotties talking about haunted places. Every episode we dive deep into the darkest places and give you a bit of history.
We're getting spooky in all the right places.
You've gobbled your last ghoul.
Follow along for the craziest and spookiest stories with Debbie's Dark Tourism. The Stanley Hotel,
Winchester House,
The Alamo,
Hotel Monte Vista,
and more spooky places. Find us at _Poltergals. POLTERGALS.
Look over your shoulder. It's us,
The Poltergals. Wherever you consume the podcast, you can find us there.
Hi, this is Sarah.
And I'm Carter.
And this is Some of Our Thoughts.
We're two Southern sommeliers, and we want to share everything we love and know about wine. We started hanging out during quarantine and cooking and drinking and listening to music, and we just thought this would be a great way to bring everything we know to you guys.
We will make wine knowledge and food pairings easy and approachable. So put on your favorite vinyl, grab your favorite glass of wine, tune into our show, and let's have some fun.
Wine and vinyl. So check us out on roguemedianetwork.com or wherever you get your favorite podcast. We'll be talking about a lot.
He also brought in his great friend, Adrian Doorball. Say it 3 times.
Adrian Doorball, Adrian Doorball, Adrian Doorball.
Yes. He was his great friend. He was his workout partner, and they were both trainers, and they're both killing it, and they looked great. Adrian Doorball's from some other country, and so he had got a green card, came here to live a better life. When Lugo met him, he was working at a taco shop and riding his bike everywhere. So he met Lugo, and Lugo basically made him rich because Lugo was successful, and he still had some business schemes under his belt.
Yeah.
So they had learned how to steal from Medicaid and Medicare.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
It's
so
good stuff.
they both had thousands and thousands, close to $1 million. But Lugo wanted more because more money, more
Greedy.
power, but also more problems. We will find out in a minute. He wanted the fast cars, faster women, a house, a boat, everything. And these men that he was training had it all. So then he gets a little jealous and he's like, they don't deserve this. I deserve this. Adrian, look, they don't deserve this. We deserve this. We worked hard for this. They're pricks. So he started to devise a plan. And the plan was to take somebody else's money and keep it as their own. They kind of felt like Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Rob from the rich, give to the poor. Like, this is how they made themselves feel better. So there's this guy named Mark Schiller. Say it.
Mark Schiller, Mark Schiller, Mark Schiller.
He's going to be the victim in this story. He's a millionaire. He, according to Lugo, was a millionaire, but he was also a prick. He was also a thief, and he stole $100,000 from Lugo.
Oh, no.
Not really, but he was telling people this. And he stole $200,000 from another gym member. So Lugo was so convincing that he got people to... He got this little gang in this gym to believe that Mark Schiller deserved to be robbed. So they planned to kidnap, beat, and extort Mark Schiller. Oh. Okay? They were going to get all their money back, plus more. They were going to take everything from Mark Schiller because he did not deserve it. But he needed one more person in the plan that knew Schiller and knew his... like investment stuff and like all his monetary stuff. So he met a guy named George Delgado. The Rock played George Delgado in this story and a piece of another guy in the story. So George Delgado was a client of Lugo's. They had been trained for 3 years. And you know that trainer-client relationship, right? You become counselor, best friend, like good friends, life coach, everything. And so Delgado really loved Lugo. But Delgado was also great friends with Schiller, who's the victim in this story. Okay? Now, Delgado tries to bring Lugo into some of their business deals, but Schiller hated Lugo. He's like, I don't like him. I don't trust him. You need to choose me or you need to choose him.
And he wasn't part of the gym?
Delgado?
Schiller.
No, he's come and worked out a couple times.
Okay, he's not.
Yeah. And he was like this fit man too, but he wasn't really involved with like kind of like the other people were. So, but he was a millionaire and he owned a slot skis. And so Lugo was like, I deserve all that.
Yeah.
So when Delgado was given the ultimatum, he chose to go with Lugo, the guy fresh out of prison, his trainer, instead of the guy, Schiller, that made him rich and that was his friend for forever.
Yeah. Good.
So Schiller pulled out on all their business investments that they were in together. So Delgado lost a lot of money. So this was Lugo's way of adding Delgado to the Sun Gang Gym. Sun Gym Gang. I'm going to say that backwards. So now they have their gang. It's Lugo, Doorball, and Delgado. And they recruit 2 little puny guys that are wannabe trainers and that looked up to them, but they would never be trainers because they're like 5'5" and 120 pounds. Oh. And they're guys. And they're like real short, so you're not going to convince anybody, right? So the plan starts. They are in a warehouse and they literally have an eraser board and dry eraser markers, and they're like writing down this plan. We're going to do this. Plan 1, we're going to do this. They write down all the supplies that they need. So they go to a spy shop.
A spy shop?
A spy shop.
What's a spy shop?
In Miami.
Like what?
A place where you go get spy supplies. I know. Okay. So they go in, 3 big bodybuilders, and they tell the spy shop owner that they work security for a rock band. They buy taser guns, stainless steel handcuffs, walkie-talkies, and then they leave and they go rent an Astro minivan. Their first plan was to circle the neighborhood that Schiller lived in, and when they saw Schiller, they would open up the van, tase him, pull him in, and he's kidnapped just like on TV.
Yeah.
Okay? But then they went and they go in the neighborhood and they're like, oh, these are all white people. We're real brown and we're in a van. This looks really suspect. Oh, no. So we probably don't want to draw attention to ourselves. So we're not going to go with this plan.
Oh.
So they come up with another plan. It was close to Halloween.
Oh.
So what do people do on Halloween?
I think they dress up.
And they
trick or treat.
Yeah. So they were like, let's go get some costumes.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Sheiller's neighborhood and we are going to dress up as ninjas, cover our face, trick or treat. And when we get to Sheiller's house, that is when we're going to grab them.
Okay.
And stick them in the van.
With everybody out on the streets.
Oh, they didn't think about that.
Okay.
Until they actually dressed up and went out there and they were like, oh, wait, it's way too many kids. Mission aborted. Let's go to the strip club instead.
Let's go straight to the club.
So they go to the strip club and they're trying to think of another plan. So now they're like, let's just follow him on the way to work. We know where he lives. We know the route he's probably going to get to work. We'll run him off the road. We'll kidnap him. Somebody will drive his car and we'll all take him to the warehouse, right?
Okay. This is another great plan.
It sounds like a great plan.
Yeah, it's flawless.
So they get on the highway and they follow who they think is Schiller. The right guy. They follow Schiller. They follow this random person on a wrong exit. Schiller's done made it to work. They're literally idiots, and this is literally still a true story. Now, John Weeks was ex-military, and he was like, you know what, y'all? Just let me handle this. I was in the military. We need to just dress up in all black, paint our faces with face paint, camouflage.
Oh, blackface?
No,
Canceled.
Canceled. No, not blackface.
Canceled.
Like you would if you're going to war or something, they write so that they can blend in.
Okay, that's so amazing. I'm going to do that and see how well I blend in.
And they're going to crawl across the lawn under these camouflage blankets in Sheiller's yard in the morning because he goes out every morning to get his paper. No. And then when he's walking back to his door, they're going to storm in and they're going to hold his family hostage. Okay?
Okay, yeah, this is okay.
So they're all dressed in black. They have their walkie-talkies. They have their paint on their face. And they are literally crawling in the yard under these blankets. And then a car passes by, slows down. They get on their walkie-talkies and they're like, abort mission, abort mission. So they all take off running, hop into the van, and leave. Literally comedic.
Were you dying when you're You're like, what the actual fuck is this?
Who are these people?
How many drugs are they on at all times?
Horse tranquilizers.
Like, they
steroids.
Are
I was like, do
literally
steroids make you dumb too?
I think so. No, not only does it make your penis small, but it makes your brain just
Ooh,
as
that's
small.
going to come up too. Okay, it's crazy. And then to watch Mark Wahlberg and The Rock do this, and the black guy that plays is Anthony Mackie. He is Papa Doc off 8 Mile. Did you watch 8 Mile?
Yes, but I don't remember who's that.
So, anyways, great. They're all beautiful. So you're watching these beautiful people act like idiots. It's the best. you really got to watch the movie. Okay.
I will
so
tonight.
abort mission. They get back in the van. Okay. Comedic. So now it's November 14th because they like keep coming up with these plans. This is their 7th plan attempt.
At least they're dedicated. They're really, they're
doers. That's what they talk about.
Yeah,
they're like
doers, and they're really, they have their mindset, and they are going to follow through with some kind of plan.
Yes, and Lugo, he's like the motivating force behind it, and he was like, we're doers, we're not donors, we're doers, we're not donors. So they're doers, and so they got their 7th attempt. So they're going to block in Sheiller's car, like near this alley with Lugo's Toyota Camry. That's why he's pissed at life. He's driving a Toyota Camry, and these other people are driving Lamborghinis. When Sheiller's coming out of his slot skis that he's owned, they're going to block him in. Now, the van would be parked around the corner, and when Lugo has him blocked in, they're going to radio the van with their walkie-talkies, and the van's going to come around, grab Sheila out of the car, tase him, subdue him, kidnap him, put him in the van, right? Like, simple enough.
Yeah.
So Sheila comes out. He's getting off work. He comes out, and he tries to pull out, but he can't because Lugo has him blocked in,
And
like
it's
the plan is.
Yeah.
Yes. And so Sheila's laying on the horn, honking, bringing all this attention to himself. Lugo radios to the van. Come now. The eagle has landed.
No.
Come now.
No.
The eagle has landed. Come now, right? So then the van doesn't come. Sheila's honking, pissed, get out of the way. The van doesn't come. He gets a radio back from the van. The van wouldn't start. Abort mission. Abort mission.
The van broke down.
Yes. Listen, my source for this was the Miami News article, Miami Daily News. A guy did a 3-part series. So I basically wrote a book on this. So all this stuff came from the courts, statements, transcript. So this is not me telling you the movie. This is the real story. So Lugo's pissed because they're like 7 fucking times and we can't get this done. They go back to the warehouse and they send Pierre's ass home. It's like, you're scrawny, you don't do shit. Like, you're going home, you're not part of the gang anymore.
Oh, Pierre gonna turn on him.
So Pierre goes home and
back to the drawing boards.
They hire a guy who works out at the gym who's also a bouncer. His name is Big Mo.
How many people are in their plan now? 18?
Too many. But Big Mo doesn't really know about the plan. Big Mo's there for intimidation because he's Big Mo.
Big.
Yeah, Mario Sanchez. And so all they want him to do is kind of like stand and cross his arms, and they're going to pay $1,000 for that. They didn't tell him what he's doing. They didn't tell him anything. So Big Mo was like, this sounds sketchy, but Christmas is around the corner, so let me go on and do it. So their final and their successful attempt, they go back to Slotsky's. They pull the van next to Sheila's car. And when Sheila's walk into the car, they jump out in their ninja uniforms.
Their face paint and their blanket.
And they tase him and they throw him into the van. Easy, simple. They should have did that the first time.
Yeah.
In the van, they beat him, they tase him again, they shackle his ankles together, they handcuff him, and they wrap duct tape around his eyes, head, and ears really, really tight.
Yeah.
So Big Mo's job is done. He's no longer in this anymore. They took him to George Delgado's warehouse. They burn him with lighters. They pistol whip him. They taunt him. They play Russian roulette with him with a loaded gun on his temple. And they're just like antagonizing him. But they feel great because they had their victims. And now they are officially doers.
Oh, congratulations. And what are they going to do with them now?
They even sent somebody to go pick up his car from Slotsky so that doesn't like raise an eyebrow.
Wow,
it looks like
good
he
planning.
left.
That's really good planning. They're so...
Their first thing, they make him call his wife. Okay, they make him call his wife, and they made him memorize a script. If you say anything off the script, we're going to kidnap your wife. We're going to bring her here, and we're going to rape her.
So he can't say his code word.
He can't say his code word. Get the kids out. Get out of the house. Don't call anyone, especially the police, and go to your families in Colombia. They're both from Colombia.
It's never suspect whenever they say, no, don't call the police. It's never suspect.
But she listened. And so she got the kids, got out of the house, and she took them to Colombia. Now, they gave him other scripts for other people in his life. And a lot of the script was the same for just about anybody. But remember, Delgado was like his accountant. Him and his wife was Sheila's accountant. So he knew all the business dealings. He knew the mortgage company. He knew what the car was under. He knew the banks. He knew the code to their house. He knew the code to the safe because he was really good friends with Sheila. And he knew everything. He knew about all the offshore accounts that he had money in the Bahamas and Switzerland. So now he's calling other business associates over the next few days, Sheila, and basically saying, I'm in love with a new hot Puerto Rican princess named Lillian Torres. And I'm going to retire and ride off into the sunset with her, turn all of my assets into cash and put them in this bank account.
Okay.
So they said, okay, all I need you to do is sign these forms. They faxed the forms over, and they have him randomly signing his signature on tons and tons and tons of forms.
Wow.
Yeah. Great plan?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
flawless. Flawless.
It is flawless. Now, Sheeler's a little smart. He's like writing vertically, like up and down the page and not on the line, hoping that like people would catch it and think it was suspect. They had him signing checks, and so they were like getting all this money like out of his checking account. Banks was cashing it. Now, they also never left him alone. They watched him in shifts in this warehouse, and they had fake code names because Sheila really knew them.
Yeah.
So Lugo's code name was Batman. Doorbell's code name was Robin. Carl Weeks was Sparrow. And Pierre, who they called back because they decided, oh, you know too much. They let him back in the gang. His name was Napoleon.
These are great names. This is so great.
Now, even though you have fake names, your voice doesn't change.
It doesn't.
Okay? And Lugo's voice happened to sound like Mike Tyson from New York. He's got a lisp, talks like a little kid, literally Mike Tyson. And so Sheeler knew Lugo was part of this plan.
Ooh.
In his head, he kept it quiet. He also knew that George Delgado had to be part of his plan because how else would Lugo know all of his business? They kept Sheeler for weeks. They starved him. He lost like 50 pounds during this time. He was dehydrated. They rarely gave him water. They gave him alcohol.
Oh.
They would not let him use the bathroom. He was chained to something, so he had to pee and poop on himself daily.
No.
He has not been able to see anything for weeks. He's barely hearing anything, and he was passed out in and out of consciousness because he was drunk. They drained his Miami account, his Switzerland account, his Cayman's accounts, and they made him sign over to free like $1.26 million. It was December 10th now. They've had him since November 14th. All the transfers were complete. Even the transfer of Slotskis to Lugo's fake little company. And they decided Sheeler has to die.
Okay.
Now, Pierre and Carl were like, Pierre and Carl Weeks, they were like, we don't have to kill him. Let's just like get him drunk, drop him off. He's lost everything. He don't know who we are. Just let him go. And Lugo actually, when he was signing documents, had his $2 million life insurance policy transferred to Lillian Torres, which is actually Lugo's ex-wife.
Oh, hell.
Okay. So they are like, nope, he's got to die. I want this $2 million. So their plan was to get him drunk, like really, really, really drunk. Feed him vodka, tequila, chocolate liqueur, and sleeping pills. Then they were going to act like he died in a car accident under DUI. So It was December 15th. He's drunk. He's half passed out. They put him in the passenger seat of his own 4Runner because remember, they took his car. Lugo is driving. Doorbell and Weeks are following him in Lugo's Camry. And they find a perfect, like, concrete pole for him to crash into. So then they put Sheeler in the driver's seat. Lugo goes to the passenger seat. And they press the gas, steer it towards the pole. Lugo hops out and watches it crash. And it crashes hard.
What?
This is how they're going to kill them. And they don't give up because they're doers.
They're doers.
And so they're like cheering, yes, 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 it's done, it's done, it's done. They go check on him, and he's still alive. Some idiot put on his seatbelt, and the seatbelt saved his life, and so did the airbags. Was there airbags back then? On the movie, it was airbags. So Lugo was like, I knew you idiots were going to be idiots, so I brought some gasoline. So they get gas, and they pour it all over Sheeler and the car. And they lit it on fire, and they had a propane tank in the back seat so that the propane tank would explode.
God.
They're slowly driving off. The car's on fire, and they see Schiller jump out of the car. This motherfucker's Batman. Lugo wants to be Batman, but he is Batman. He is literally walking on fire. He's taped. He's still handcuffed, and he basically stop, drops, and rolls. Weeks is driving away, and they're like, we have no other choice. We got to hit him. We got to run him over. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. He's a walking flame. They hit him. They toss him up, and he lands on the ground behind them. We got to run him over again.
Oh, no.
Be a do or die, not a donor. Run him over again. So he backs up and runs over him. Twice. And before they could do it the third time, they see headlights from another car, so they have to speed off. Now, Schiller's on the ground. He's not on fire anymore, but he had just been in a wreck. He'd been tortured, I would just say, Lord, take me now.
Yeah. You're.
But he lives.
Oh, my God.
And the next day, on December 16th, a patient was admitted to the hospital, Jackson Memorial, after a DUI crash. He had to have surgery because he had a ruptured spleen, a shattered pelvis, a ruptured bladder. But this mofo was alive.
What?
When he woke up from surgery, he was scared. He was belligerent. And he was also Joe, what's it called? Joe, when you're anonymous? Joe Blow, no. John Doe. John Doe. Yeah, he was also a John Doe. But he was telling the doctors, I was kidnapped by a bunch of bodybuilder ninjas. They held me captive for a month. They tried to kill me. They stole everything I have. But he reeks of alcohol. There's sleeping pills in the system. They're really not believing him. So they call the police. The police come in, and the police are like, we asked around about you, and we heard you fell in love with a Puerto Rican princess named Lillian Torres, and you basically you felt guilty and tried to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Or you're trying to gain sympathy from your wife after you left him, and then your Puerto Rican princess left you. Schiller was like, no, I promise. How could I do this to myself? Please give me security. If when they find out I'm alive, they're going to come back and try to kill me. Like, he was genuinely scared. And they were like, aren't you Colombian?
Sherry Papini vibes.
Yeah. They had no sympathy. They were like, aren't you Colombian? Are you sure you're not in the Colombian cartel? Are you sure this has nothing to do with drugs? They were just like worried about everything else that they should not be worried about. So he was pissed. He calls a private investigator named Ed Dubois. Ed Dubois worked for the Miami Dolphins. He ran security and he's also a private investigator. And he told Ed this story. And Ed was like, this sounds really weird. Yeah. But if it's true, you better get out of the hospital now. Because when they find out you're alive, they are going to come and kill you.
Oh, my God.
And he was right. Because
they did.
The Sun Gang Jim had been watching the news, reading the newspaper to see if there's a death that has been reported.
Oh, no.
And there wasn't. So they're calling the morgue. They're calling the hospitals. And they finally find out that Schiller is in the hospital. So they go. And Doorbell was like, I'll strangle him. Y'all start a fight in the hallway to start a diversion.
Not more plans. Not more plans.
They're the best at planning. Start a fight in the hallway. And then I'm going to strangle him, and then we'll just all run out of there, right? And they were like, well, I don't know. That's if we start fighting, what if there's cops outside and we just get arrested? Let's get silencer pistols, and we'll walk in his room, and we'll just kill everybody in the room, and then we'll just walk out. And they were like, no, that can cause, that might cause,
draw more attention.
So let's just smother him with a pillow.
Okay.
So they go to the hospital. All these big bodybuilders are walking into this hospital. And this is a big hospital. And they get lost.
They can't find his room.
In a maze of corridors, and they can't even find the intensive care units because it's so big. So they get overwhelmed and they leave. Now,
abort.
They abort this mission. Now, in the movie, and I don't know if this is really it, like when they abort mission, they all like go get a quick pump. So they get on the bench press and they're like, let's do 8 sets. Let's do 8 sets really quick. Let's bust out 100 push-ups and get our mind going. That's just funny. I don't know if it really happened. So they were like, we just can't walk. We're too noticeable. Our bodies are too good, or we have bodies of gods. We need to look like we're a part of the hospital, especially if the police are there. So they go to a uniform supply store.
No.
They buy scrubs, masks, and caps, and they called to make sure he was still there when they were up there, right? They were like trying to find the room, make sure he was still there, and he had just checked out. He's gone. They hadn't heard anything about him, from him. They figured he is just like done, ran away because he didn't want to get killed. And they're like, well, let's just continue with our original plan. So January of 1995, they move into Sheiller's home. That is now not Sheiller's home because they had it signed over.
Oh my gosh. And
this was in a beautiful gated community. It had a swimming pool, jacuzzi, 50-inch TVs, and they had over $2.1 million in cash, plus real estate, plus credit cards, plus jewelry. Carl Weeks got his $100,000 and he was gone. Pierre only got $30,000 because he was real sketchy and in and out of the thing. And Lugo was living large in Sheiller's house. He got along great with the neighbors. The neighbors loved him because he looked good and he was great. According to them, he referred to himself as Tom, and he told them that Schiller was actually deported and that house was confiscated and is now governmental property, and that him, Lugo, and his crew are taking care of the maintenance on the house. So he starts paying homeowner association dues. Mm-hmm. He hires a gardener. He has packages sent to his neighbors. He starts a neighborhood watch program.
Wow.
He fixes up the house and he makes it a home. He loved his home.
What a good guy.
He was living the life. Doorball starts dating an exotic stripper that he met at the strip club. And Lugo starts dating a penthouse model / stripper named Sabina. And, he got her a penthouse apartment next to his wife near his wife so that he can go see her before he goes home to his pregnant wife. They already looked great, but now they feel great and their pockets were fat. The plan was working. They had nothing to worry about. Now, new girlfriend Sabina thought he produced music videos because that's the story he told her. But she started getting questioning. She was like, but why do you have all this spy equipment? And why do you never leave to go shoot videos? And why are you just, getting drunk and going to strip clubs all the time? And so he was like, oh, you know what? You deserve to know the truth.
Too many questions.
You deserve to know the truth.
Oh, okay.
The truth is, I'm in the CIA.
Oh.
And Sabina, who is from
wow, that's so cool,
another country and came here to live the American dream, she was so excited and she felt like she was given to this country by being with a CIA agent. And from now on, his code when he beeped her was 007.
This is not real.
Doorball moved out of the house and got his own house, bought his own townhouse. He too was CIA, and they needed to have 2 CIA's people close together in case they had to act swiftly. And that if he ever disappeared for days at a time, it's because they had to report to headquarters in Langley, Virginia. And yeah, listen, he was very convincing. And Sabina believed him, and she was like, I'll never question you about anything you do anymore. Doorball breaks up with his girlfriend that he had for a while because he's dating the stripper. And he discovers his occupational hazard of steroid use has another side effect that has been lingering but is now officially
small penis.
And it won't get up.
Oh, no.
It won't work. Now, back in New York, Schiller is healed, and he goes to Colombia with his family, but he's like, I'm pissed, and I'm broke, and I have nothing. I'm calling that private investigator, and I'm going to hire him. So the private investigator was like, just send me every detail about the case and any documents. These documents that you say they make you sign, get copies of them from your people, right? Because all the investors had to have copies of them. So they sent all that to Ed, and Ed was like, oh, shoot, this is true. He's not lying. And he sees the signatures going the wrong way. And so he says, but these documents had to be notarized. Who would notarize these documents? John Meese. Do you remember him? The owner of the Sun Gym is the one that notarized the documents. Okay. Oh. So he goes to visit John, and John has diarrhea of the mouth.
Oh, John.
And he brings up Delgado, and he brings up Lugo and Doorball. So now they're kind of scared. They're like, oh shit, we need another plan. We need another plan. Yeah, too many people. So they said, let's meet with private investigator, and let's tell him that we still have $1.26 million of Schiller's money, and we will give it back to him. If and only if he signs this non-disclosure contract that says that he will never bring this up or go to the police or talk about it again if we give him his money back. And his home. We'll give him his home back too. What? So Ed is like, I need to okay that with Schiller. And Schiller is like, man, I want my money. But I don't trust them. I think this is a way for them to stall so they can try to kill me. But he wants his money. So he agrees to sign the contract. So Lugo has this contract made up with a lawyer. But on the contract, it has 1.26 million lira. That's some kind of other foreign money that only equals to $1,200 American dollars. And the contract was faxed over and signed.
What an idiot. Schiller, are you kidding me?
Schiller gets his house back, but not before Lugo and his bodybuilder friends rent a U-Haul and strip it of everything. What? They had been living in this house. They know they probably got to get out. This private investigator's been watching them. They gave Schiller back his house. So when they're there, when they're moving out, they take every TV, the furniture, all the jewelry, crystal, the Persian rugs, all the bronze sculptures, a freezer, a computer, video games, copiers, printers, camcorders, patio furniture. They pull out the jacuzzi. They take a baby stroller. They take the Christmas tree and the Christmas decorations. And they take his family photos.
What are they doing with all this stuff? And where are the police?
They took it to the where the police still don't believe Schiller or Ed. Well, we're about to get to police because they're about to come back. They even took the Schiller's wife's BMW station wagon and the kids' clothes. When Schiller got to his house, it was totally empty. They took all this stuff to the warehouse where they kept Schiller and gave the rest of it to Doorball for his new townhouse that he had bought that's right down the road. So now Doorball has Schiller's couch, furniture, TVs, everything. Yeah.
What's happening?
I know. Okay, so and they also never paid Schiller his money. Never.
His $1,200?
His $1,200. His 1,200 lira. So the deal was off. They were pissed. They go to the cops. Finally, again, they go to the cops. And the cops were like, we just really don't trust you, Schiller. And Dubois was like, y'all are idiots. They did this and it worked. So that means they're going to run out of money and they're going to do it again. And this person will probably not live this time.
Oh, my gosh.
And they were right. Because Lugo had already found another victim. His name was Winston Lee.
Say Winston Churchill.
He wasn't as rich as Schiller, but he was rich enough. And he told Doorball and Delgado that this Winston guy sold drugs to little kids in the black community. So he does not deserve what he has, that they deserve it.
Oh, my gosh.
And he told Sabina, it's your time to help serve your country. We're going to let you in on this plan. I'm going to get you an apartment next door to Winston Lee. He's actually a Palestinian terrorist. What? This is Sabina. Sabina's like, yes, I want to help. And she felt so patriotic. She was helping and working for the CIA. She was helping her country. So they wanted Sabina to flirt and lure Winston into her apartment that they just got next door to Winston, and that Lugo and Doorbell and Delgado would burst in and they would subdue him. They would torture him like Schiller, get him to sign over all his stuff, and then they'd be winning again.
Okay.
Winning.
Oh my gosh.
But Winston didn't like little blonde-head white girls, because Winston was never interested in Sabina. He was always traveling, so they had to knock him off the list.
Oh my gosh. This is so crazy.
Doorbell's stripper girlfriend left him because his wee-wee wouldn't work, and he had to go see a specialist. And this specialist specializes in steroid-induced impotence.
Oh.
And he found out that he's going to have to get these injections in order for his wee-wee to work. But these injections, steroid injections, they're very expensive. So Doorbell was like, I need my money now. I got things to do. My penis does not work. So they find another guy named Frank Griga. And this is where you're going to question if this is real.
Oh, this is where?
Oh, if you haven't already 47 times. So Frank Griga was rich. He got rich because he established a phone sex business. He would advertise these 800 numbers and 900 numbers in the Hustler magazines and in the Penthouse magazines. Mm-hmm. Men are real horny when they're looking at these magazines, right? Mm-hmm. So they're already going to probably masturbate, but wouldn't it make it better if you can call somebody and they sweet talk you and dirty talk you?
I guess so.
They would pay $5 a minute to have somebody talk dirty to them.
Oh my God.
This was Frank Griga's multi-million-dollar company. He had a $700,000 mansion. He had a yacht. He had condo in the Bahamas. He drove a Lamborghini Diablo. And so Lugo and Doorbell dress up in these nice suits. They are wearing Rolexes that they stole from Schiller, and they are pitching a money-making scheme to Frank Griga. They said, you can start your company in India. We can buy these phone lines in India. And they had like pamphlets with pie charts and everything. They looked so official. And Griga was like, I'm in. I will contribute $1 million. I'll invest $1 million to be part of this phone line in India. And I want to be able to take my dirty phone numbers over to India, right?
Oh my
I
gosh.
know. So, Sabina's part of this plan, and they hit it off good. So they plan a dinner in a couple days with Frank Griga and his girlfriend, Christina. And this is May 24th, 1995. This dinner is at Doorbell's house. Doorbell and Frank are talking business in the other room, and Lugo and Christina are talking, and they're watching TV. Schiller's TV, actually. Then some arguing breaks out in the other room. Mm-hmm. Doorbell and Griga are arguing, and when girlfriend Christina barges into the door, there's blood everywhere. Griga was bleeding out of his head. Doorbell had him in a headlock, and it looked like he had been hit with a weight.
Oh, no.
Like a weight plate.
Dumbbell.
Griga was dead.
Oop.
Christina started screaming and screaming, so Lugo grabbed her, covered her mouth, duct taped her mouth, handcuffed her hands and her feet, and Doorbell injected her with Rumpun, which is a horse tranquilizer.
Oh, no.
She weighs 105 pounds. This horse tranquilizer would put a 1,000-pound horse to sleep. They were like, okay, our plan is working. This is where we want to be. Our target is apprehended. Mission accomplished. All they needed was Grigo's info and safe passcode and house code, and then they'd have what they need.
Mm-hmm.
But Grigo's dead.
Oh.
So they got to go to Christina. And Christina's out like a light. So they put Griga, the man, in the bathtub with ice on him, and they put the AC down as low as it can go because they don't want him to start smelling because he's dead.
Oh my God.
And they wanted all the blood to drain down the bathtub. But they had Christina. So they wake her up, they slap her, wake her up, and they're like, I need the code. What's the code to the house? What's the code to the safe? And she's like mumbling. She starts screaming again. They have to give her another horse tranquilizer, but not before she mumbles out some numbers, a code. Lugo writes down this code on a piece of paper, and just everything had gone wrong, right? Everything. He goes over to the house, their house.
Mm-hmm.
You think the code works?
No, it's probably like 1111.
Nope. Code doesn't work.
Code don't work.
He's pissed.
What a shock.
So he calls Doorbell and says, Doorbell, I need you to put her on the phone. I need the code. This code isn't working. And Doorbell says,
she's dead.
The bitch is cold.
2 tranquilizers.
Yes, and I think it ended up being 3 total. So now she's dead. And they're screwed. They call over another bodybuilder friend.
Of course they do.
Who they know is real sketchy that can help get rid of the body. And so he was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll be back. He never comes back. So now they just are like, tomorrow we'll get rid of the body. We need a good night's sleep. So Doorbell falls asleep in the house with 2 dead bodies. Delgado goes home to his wife, and Lugo goes home to Sabina. And they sleep. And then the next morning, they go to Home Depot. It's Friday, May 26th. Lugo and Doorbell go to Home Depot. Here's their list. They buy red plastic cleaning buckets. They buy 10-gallon containers of tar, but I read later those 55-gallon containers of like tar mix. They buy floor fans, industrial strength towels, a 100-foot roll of hefty trash bags, propane gas tanks, face goggles, gardening gloves, black iron security grates, a fire extinguisher, and a gas-powered chainsaw. Their total was $666.
Oh, that's a good number.
That
666.
Yeah, that's a scary number. I ought to put a piece of gum or something on there just to not have that number. So they stuffed Griga into the couch that was in Doorbell's apartment, like stuffed him under there, put the cushions on, and then acted like they were moving a couch into the van, right?
Okay.
This was Sheiller's couch, actually. So they loaded him in the van. Then they put Christina in the U-Haul in a clothing box, and they went to the warehouse, and they spread the trash bags everywhere, and they cut all the clothes off their body. Lugo sprayed down the body with Windex and paper towels to get all the fingerprints off of them. Does Windex even get fingerprints off? I know it gets it off mirrors, but does it actually take away the DNA?
I don't think anything does.
They have fans going. They have the television really, really loud so that people around there can't leave. And like they have everything ready to go. They are like covered in stuff, kind of like the Hong Kong family. Mm-hmm. Because they're about to chop them up with this chainsaw. Pull the string on the chainsaw.
Oh, hell, chainsaw don't work.
Didn't start. They blew the motor because they didn't put oil in it.
I can't. These people.
So they have to go back to Home Depot.
How do these... Okay.
To return the chainsaw. Go ahead. What is it?
No, like, how are these people like... Okay, they're stealing all this money, so that's how they're like... making a living. Okay, because I was like, what else are they, how long has this gone on that they're doing all these things?
It's really not even long. Like, remember they kidnapped him in November, and now it's January.
Okay.
So it's not long. It's just they do so much during this time, and it's also
it's a lot
bogus.
Of work. It's so much work.
So they have to go and take this chainsaw that they just bought back to Home Depot, and they get their money back, but they were hungry, so they got to stop at Subway.
Rather than go to Schlotsky's.
And instead of buying that same chainsaw, Lugo was like, we're getting this Remington power cutter, electric chainsaw, and so they have what they need.
Okay.
Delgado and Lugo cannot chop up the bodies, so it's up to Doorball.
Oh, come on, Delgado and Lugo. Come on.
Yeah,
Step
be
up
a
your
doer.
game.
Be a doer.
Oh.
So they have the bodies on the table, and Doorball goes to sawing, like with the cutter, piece by piece. But he can only do it 7 times because as he's about to cut off Christina's head, the chainsaw gets caught in her hair and it don't work anymore.
No.
I'd have just called the police on myself by that time.
Yeah, but listen,
I'm just too tired.
I'm tired of this shit.
God would just put me in a cell so I can take a nap.
This is too much.
So Lugo has to come with a hatchet so they can continue the job. So all the blood's falling like in these gallon containers that they have, and they put pieces like their torso in their legs, I think, in some of the gallon bugs with the tar and acid. So there were some acid. So they were doing some Jeffrey Dahmer stuff. Mm-hmm. They were decapitated. They cut off their arms and they cut off their legs. Another bucket had their hands and their feet in there because as they were cutting everything off, they were like, wait, we can't put the hands in there because then they'll have fingerprints and they'll know who they are. So they cut off the hands and the fingers, and they filleted all the flesh from the bones on their fingers, and they're going to burn that flesh. And then they cut off the head and they pull out with pliers every single one of their teeth so that they can't identify them with teeth records. And they were like, yeah, but if you really know them and you see this head, you'll be able to identify their face. So they chop down the middle of the face. They chop off the nose. They dig out the eyes, and they basically try their best to pull away the skin on their face so that they are totally unrecognizable.
What is happening?
I know.
I'm going to go eat some pork after this.
So all the hands and the finger bones and everything that's left and the feet, they all threw them in this thing and threw gasoline in and lit that on fire, so that's burning. And so Doorball's tired because he had just done a whole bunch. So he lays on the couch that the body was in.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And he calls his ex-girlfriend, Cindy, who he broke up with earlier, and proposes to her.
Oh, wow. How sweet.
And they set a quick little date, like in the next couple days. So Cindy's like, she's like, I've been waiting for him to come around. Yeah. So now this is all going on in the warehouse. They're all kind of like taking a little break. And now the people that they just killed, the housekeeper shows up. And their dog has trashed the house. The housekeeper was like, they would never leave this dog. It looks like they hadn't been here for a long time. They would never leave this dog. So she starts calling people. Those people get worried. They get reported missing. Very quickly, it goes to the police. And Doorball, so that's happening over here. They're going to the police. They're making reports. And they have to get rid of the 10-gallon containers over here because they got to clean up the warehouse, and they just got to get rid of all the torsos and all the evidence and everything. So they drive the drums, they weld them together, and they dump them in a drainage ditch, like in some murky water and like some Florida swamps. They go a little bit further and they do like the hands and the feet and the head and stuff. They throw that like an alligator alley. Okay. They go back, and 3 days later, Doorball and Cindy get married. And Cindy is so happy.
Oh my
like
gosh.
It's their honeymoon. And when they investigated Frank and Christina, it led back to the Sun Gym Gang guys. Well, the police were like, hey, we know these names. Oh, Schiller. Oh, Dubois. Let's call them in and ask them about these people. So, Dubois is pissed, and he's like, you know what? I warned you. I told you that you need to take him seriously or somebody else is going to die. Mm-hmm. And now you got 2 people dead.
Real dead.
On June 3rd, 1995, 75 Metro, Dade County police officers SWAT hostage negotiations. They're about to serve warrants on Daniel Lugo, George Delgado, Adrian Doorball, and John Meese. Now, Delgado was at home. He was arrested in front of his wife. He started talking quickly. Doorball was arrested at home. His wife had just got up. They were on their honeymoon. She was drinking coffee. Doorball was arrested, and he confessed immediately to the kidnapping of Schiller, but then stopped right there. Lugo was nowhere to be found.
Oh.
Lugo somehow had made it to the Bahamas that quick. He was going after the last little bank accounts that the police didn't even know about. So on the movie, he had took Schiller's boat and drove, went to the Bahamas by boat. I couldn't really find how he got there.
It's the speedboat, like the Hong Kong person.
Yeah, I feel like it was.
It's very similar.
And this was a cigar boat, and he was going to the Bahamas. So, they found out where he was going to be. They finally arrested him at a Bahamas resort on June 8th. So he just got a couple extra days than everybody else. And by June 10th, Lugo was in jail, and so he started talking. And he was like, okay, I'll show you where the bodies are. So they took him, and he took them to where those 3 barrels were. But in those barrels, there was only the torsos. And the police could not identify who they were.
Clearly, yeah.
But during the autopsy, the autopsist figured out that Christina had breast implants. Oh. Every breast implant
has a serial
number. So they were able to track it back to the doctor's office, and this is the first time in at least Florida history that they made an identification on the breast implants. Wow. They later found the head and what was the bones and stuff, what's left of the fingers, and Frank Griga still had 1 tooth that wasn't totally taken out in his head. So that's how they identified Frank Griga.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So they're in jail. The main three are in jail. Later that summer, as everybody's talking, Stevenson Pierre was arrested and Carl Weeks was arrested. And then John Meese was arrested. And then so was model Sabina and wife Cindy, Doorball's wife Cindy. They all got arrested because Sabina was part of the plan. She knew everything that was happening. Cindy cleaned up the mess afterwards.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, but she didn't know the story. They had told her that there was a bad fight there.
Okay.
Now, it's March 1996, and the grand jury returned a 46-count indictment against the Sun Gym Gang conspiracy to commit murder, the murder of Frank and Christina, and the kidnapping and extortion, an attempted murder of John Schiller, Mark Schiller. Delgado received 15 years. Because he was kind of more behind the scenes. Pierre and Weeks got 10 years. Doorball's wife and Cindy was charged with accessory. Doorball's wife, Cindy, was charged with accessory after the fact for cleaning up the crime scene. But at first she wasn't testifying because that was her husband, right? So you don't have to testify against your husband. But during this time, Doorball started having a relationship with the secretary of his lawyer. So she filed for divorce, and then it ended up being annulled because they never got to consummate their marriage because he couldn't get it up.
Oh,
So then she got to testify against him in court, and she talked about his small non-working penis.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
The trial was February 24th, 1998, and it went for 10 weeks. This was
10 weeks?
10 weeks. It was the longest, most expensive trial in history at that time. Schiller flew in to testify, and they were found guilty on May 4th after only 18 minutes of deliberation.
The evidence was overwhelming.
Yes, by 2 counts of murder and 16 other charges. On July 17th, they were sentenced to death.
Okay, good.
Death. Schiller came and gave a victim impact statement. And then when that was done, he felt so good about himself. He was like, I finally got justice. They're in jail. They're going to die. They deserve it. He walked out of the courthouse steps, and then he was arrested. This whole time they were when they should have been investigating Sun Gang Jim, they were investigating Schiller and found out that he was a part of the Medicare billing scheme too, and made $14 million off of frauding Medicare.
Oh,
and it's
my gosh.
It's so weird how they did this. All they did was buy a bunch of like P.O. boxes, like buy them up, different names, and they paid $10 for names of people that were on Medicare or Medicaid, right? And I guess you can send bills to Medicaid and they pay them for you. Anyways, somehow they got Medicaid and Medicare to send them money for bogus surgery bills. Instead of sending it straight to the hospital, they send it to whatever account. And so that's how he got $14 million. He was facing 25 years in prison.
What? After all that?
Yes. Nobody felt sorry for him. Well, maybe the judge. Because in February 1999, he pled guilty to only 1 count of falsifying Medicare billing, and he was sentenced to 46 months in prison, which is the lowest amount that anybody can get. So they did take into account that he was basically tortured and almost killed. As of that time, Sun Gym was closed.
Oh, no.
And in 2013 is when Michael Bay made the movie Pain and Gain. Michael Bay is a big producer. Like, he does the Fast and Furiouses, and I thought he did Pirates of the Caribbean. It made over $100 million. And when it came out, it made Schiller look like an asshole. So then it was all comedic because you couldn't even feel sorry for the victims. And so he sued Michael Bay and the production company, and he was awarded a big millions and millions of dollar payouts. So now he's rich again. What? And then he wrote a book about it, and it was the real story of Pain and Gain that came out after the movie. But that is it.
OMG. Wow.
I know.
I don't really know what else to say. There's so many things that just happened.
It is just so, I don't know. So you'll have to go on and look at these. As I'm telling the story, I'm picturing The Rock and Papa Doc and Mark Wahlberg do it, but they are just some other bodybuilders, so we'll post their pictures. We'll post pictures of the victims because it is sad. Sad story. It's really sad about Frank and Christina because they were actually good businessmen. Like, they had raunchy business deals, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, sex lines or whatever. Supposedly Schiller was a scam artist, so people didn't feel as sorry for him. He stole, so then he got his stuff stolen, but he ended up getting awarded in the end.
I'm going to have to go watch the movie.
Watch the movie.
Oh, my God. What a great story. Oh, my gosh.
I wanted to maybe get some laughs in because some of our stories have just been so
they've been
harsh.
pretty,
And this is harsh. This is really harsh. But all the other stuff around it kind of softened the landing a little bit.
It does. Oh, my gosh. Wow.
I hope y'all enjoyed it.
That was, that was needed. That was needed for sure.
Okay, y'all, if you love this episode, go send it to somebody and send it to your bodybuilder friends.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll love it.
They will love it. They will love it. Also, if you haven't done so yet, rate us, review us, and subscribe to us. And if you go to Rogue Media Network, there's a link. If you just want to order a Bloody Happy Hour shirt or hoodie, our producers and the company that they're making the shirts will just bag it and tag it for you. Send it to you. So go on to
RogueMediaNetwork.com?
Network.com, yeah. And I think that's it.
I think that's it.
I have no more words or things. It was so much.
Yeah, yeah. Alec Murdaugh. That's all I can think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
And I was like, what am I going to do now? With I love the people I work for are very much into or work with are very much into true crime. So if I'm in my office watching it, or we were in a staff meeting and I had it going like right here, like people are so into it, they're like they don't mind. But then it's like I don't have any. I was so obsessed with Idaho, and then this maybe for
well, we
Lori Vallow is about to go, right?
I hope so. I think now they're having a separate trial now, and then. I think the OnlyFans murder's hopefully going to come up soon. Sarah Boone is going to be coming up sometime soon. All these have been delayed. So we got at least some. I know.
Sarah Boone. Well, I was thinking too, like I felt like this Murdaugh trial was pretty big, like the Casey Anthony days, but I didn't watch those trials back then. This was really my first trial, and I didn't even watch the whole thing like you did. I watched some of the days and did the recaps.
It was very long and very boring.
Yes, but like somebody that I know was on maternity leave the whole time, so she just sat at home and nursed her baby and watched the trial.
Yeah, she
knew every single detail, and she was so invested. And so for it to end that quick, I know she said her stomach was sick about it.
It's weird,
and I almost felt sorry for. I don't know why, but I almost felt sorry for him at the sentencing.
I 100%.
But maybe it's because I have a heart and he don't.
No, it did the same thing. It's like it came. They announced it, and it's like you get this. And I was watching Emily D. Baker also on YouTube because that's who I watch it with. And she was like, a lot of people in the chat are commenting, and they're just saying how they like. Why do they feel sadness? Like, why are you feeling? And they're like, because it's just such a heavy story.
Tragic. Yeah.
And you're not necessarily sad for him. You're sad for what he's done to everybody. And it's just a sad thing. It's just a sad situation. And then you think about this guy he's ruined so many people. And now he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail, which he deserves, but it's still just like the whole thing is just a sad thing. And I was like, maybe that's why I had this like random panic attack, because there was just so many emotions going on. It was just so many things happening.
But I wondered,
and it did happen so like the end, like after all this investing, and then it just bam, it's over.
Done. Yeah. That's like great foreplay, and then like the actual sex part is just like over with in 5 seconds. But I want like listening to it,
and then they did the sentencing so fast.
I know. I couldn't even tune into that, and I haven't heard the judge's whole thing. I've heard some of it, but people are saying it's so great. I love him, that judge.
It was so great. If y'all haven't watched it, you've got to
at least go watch that part. Yeah. But then his no reaction, Buster's no reaction.
Here's the thing. Okay, I did read that Buster like collapsed outside of the courthouse and was like bawling all of a sudden outside of the courthouse after the verdict was read, but before the sentencing.
I bet they tell them to keep their composure.
However, they are investigating the Stephen Smith case.
They should.
I know. And that's the one that is Buster's connected to.
Yeah, they should.
And so most likely Buster's sitting over here thinking, oh, hell, I'm next.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Yep. They're like, if they didn't believe my daddy, they're really not going to believe me.
Exactly.
And if anything, I'm going to get convicted for my name.
Exactly.
Woo! Y'all, earful. Okay, I think that's it.
That's it.
We will see y'all next week. Tune in, send an episode, and send us an email if you have any ideas. And that is it. Don't forget to
stay aware,
stay alive,
and always be DTF.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.